If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $39, for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.
Happy Thursday, guys. Happy opening day in the MLB. Welcome into Wager Talk TV. This is, of course, puck time, and we are here to break down some NHL games. We have 4 games to break down for you. Best bets at the end of the show. And I am, of course, Andrew McGinnis, and I have Brian Leonard with me today. No Carmine Bianco. I believe we had some internet issues, but he will have a 6 in 60 for you guys tomorrow on the show. Make sure to get that done, clipped up, and have some plays in for you guys early for Saturday's action. But, Brian, it was a quiet night in the NHL, I guess I will say. You know, low-scoring games can still be exciting in the NHL. We definitely didn't have too many goals, but, you know, we saw some teams battling for playoff positions. What was your overall take of yesterday's NHL games?
Yeah, some tight games, some good games. We used Florida here as a best bet on the show, and they made a late comeback, down 2-1, and wins that game 3-2. Unfortunately, the 5% play had the Washington game over, and it was a bad pick, regardless. But how many times do you see a full game go without any power plays in the regulation? Can't get too many overs without the power plays, and that didn't. You know what? It's just the way it is. It happens. Feel very confident. 13-game winning streak is snapped, but we've got 4 plays up today, and I expect to sweep them all. So sorry for everybody who bought that yesterday, but we'll get that money back for you.
Well, Brian, you know what is the bright side of losing number 14? Is that you're still 13-1 in your last 14, all right? That is awesome, man. That's really, really good. So anybody buying your plays should be really happy. The client should be making some money right now. So, look, it's tough to hit an over, even if it's only 5.5 when there's no power plays in a game. And we talked about it before we started the show off, that it can be so annoying when the referee takes both guys off and not just one guy off, because it doesn't really give you any advantage. You know, it's just both guys go off. They keep playing 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, and it's hard to really get one. I did mention something yesterday, Brian. It did come through for me. I don't do it a lot, so I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit. The draw. I don't think I've given out really any draws in my life on this show, plus 325. And for some of these teams, every matters. So definitely something worth looking at there down the stretch, you know. And as you pointed out, Carmine and I always talk about pond hockey. But some games you'll see pond hockey, and some games you'll kind of see the opposite, where teams with 5 or 10 minutes to go, even they're fighting for overtime because they know they're going to secure that 1 point. Brian, before we start the show, I just wanted to, you know, we're always told not to address comments and not to try and block out the hate, block out trolls, block out people, you know, saying bad things about you, right? But I just wanted to say, realistically, that the big thing that I try and do, and I want to have a reputation of doing, is being transparent with my results and talking about things. And so I wasn't really happy with some stuff in the comments yesterday and some things going on Twitter, because I think the thing is, I had such a great season last year that slumping this year has looked awful on me because the expectations were so high going into last year. So I have kind of a few of my numbers that I wanted to pull up and just kind of mention really quick here on the show. Last year on the NHL season, I finished plus 153 units. That was the entire season last year, including the playoffs. 5% records NHL this year, plus 4.5 units. This season as a whole, I'm minus 23 0.11 units. If you ask people on Twitter or YouTube, you would think that I am down 200 units and I've lost 10 bankrolls for everybody. I'm down 20 units this season. Last season, I earned 153 units for my all access customers. And I want to make this very clear to everybody. I'm not happy with these results, nor should they be. But there's still plenty left to go in this season. We still have playoffs to go. And realistically, we have to be able to see the long-term approach. It's why, like I just said to Bryan, you lose a 5% play, but he's 13-1 his last 14. If you want Bryan's picks, buy 30 days, buy the season, buy the playoff package. And it's the all access guys that understand that I'm minus 20, 23 here on this season. There's plenty of time to get back and get into profitable here for the rest of the year and going into the playoffs. So, last 30 days in the NHL, minus 22, not acceptable. The only reason why I'm saying this is because I just want people to know, if there's one thing with me working in this industry that I want people to know about me, is that I'm not hiding, especially my NHL stuff here when I host a show every day. So seeing people comment that yesterday wasn't really something that made me happy. And you can't talk about the good if you're not talking about the bad. So I just wanted to mention that and kind of talk about that here for a second and be completely honest with my NHL season results here. So minus 23 units here on the season after a really bad day 2 days ago, Bryan. I think I went like 0-5, which was really tough, or 0-6. But there's lots of room to improve. So I apologize for that little quick segment, Bryan, to you, but just wanted to get that off my chest, if that's all right with you.
That's fine with me. And I've been around so long that I know of the days where I had to answer my own phone calls and people would call up and, give you a hard time because you lost. Well, these are the same people that are with you for a month, a week, a season. And I've never understood it because they put you in a bad mood. They try to take you out of your thought process, but yet they're paying you money and they're betting your plays. It's gambling. We're going to win, we're going to lose. But the more heat your regular customers give you, the more pressure on you, which turns out, nobody wants pressure on them. And it ends up costing them in the long run because you're not thinking clearly. Listen,
right.
I've been told for guys that don't work for Wager Talk that I talk about my losses too much. The reason I talk about my losses is because it hurts me. Not financially because I'm betting the games, but because other people are betting the games. And I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want people to lose. They're putting their confidence in me. I'm out in the public all the time. I live here in Vegas. I get customers from out of town. We meet up for lunch and drinks. And I wouldn't be out there if I was hiding from something. I was great in baseball 4 years. And then the last 2 years, I shit the bed. I mean, I'm totally honest. Baseball is my favorite sport. And sometimes you just don't win. The game changes. You got to change with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's the thing. It is gambling, but it's also a long extended stretch of results. You've been doing this for a long time, longer than me, and people have to let results speak. I mean, my goal is 50 units in the NHL. That's kind of the goal I set for myself before the year. Last year, I was able to do that 3 times in one season. Will I be able to do that again? I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. But the expectations were certainly set at the start of the year, and it was made clear by people that I had to repeat that performance that I had last year, and hopefully we'll try and get there and start building these bankrolls a little bit here. But yeah, it just really bugged me, and I really think that it's just rough because you know what the funny thing is, in this industry, I feel like the transparent people are the ones that get trolled the most. Right. Because you actually talk about your losses. The guys that aren't tweeting about their losses, nobody trolls them because nobody knows they're losing, which is just so ridiculous. But for all of you guys out there, I just sincerely want you to know, DM me on Twitter, comment anything, ask me anytime the rest of the season, ask me what my record is this year. I will tell you. Let's get into the games here, Bryan. We have 4 games to break down: Rangers, Devils, Predators, Penguins, Capitals, Lightning, and the Kings and Oilers. That one should be a good one to end off the night. But let's start things off with a rivalry game here, the Rangers and Devils. This game is being played in New Jersey. The Devils minus 135. What are you thinking here in this one, Bryan?
Yeah, really strong card today. A lot of fun hockey games to watch, and they got a full slate of baseball. First time ever they've had, at least in my lifetime, they've had every team playing on opening day. So a lot of fun sports today. The Rangers have played really well as of late. Where they've won what, seven straight, 7 of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 of 8. The only loss being to Carolina. That's not a bad thing, and that was and they quickly got revenge for that Carolina loss there. They're playing really well, playing with a lot of confidence right now, going against a New Jersey team that they've done very well with. They played very well against New Jersey, and this is a spot where they're coming into this game, I'm assuming, to be very confident. And you got a team in New Jersey who has not played really that well as of late. They're coming off that loss to the Islanders, in which they got blown out 5-1 on the road. They lost to Buffalo on the road. They just haven't been the same team as they were earlier this year. They do have the last 2 days off, which is something that you always have to take a look at this time of the season when everybody's tired, players are coming up. It's a good time to take a look and back the teams that have some rest. I like the Rangers here. I didn't make my card, but it was close to having the Rangers on the card. Just didn't like the New Jersey schedule and the way that they have played lately. But I didn't get quite enough from what I thought I was going to get with the Rangers. I could see a 120 out there at Circa here in Las Vegas. That's the best line out there right now. But I was hoping to get about 125. We'll see how this goes the rest of the day. If there's some more line value, I'll be on the Rangers. If not, there's plenty of other good games to bet on today.
And, it is really important to try and get that number that you were hoping to get. And if you can't get it, well, like you said, there's so many games to look at here on the board. And, the thing for me about this Devils team, I talked about it when they had that big run way early on in the season, Brian. I think everyone was talking about their offense with Heischer and Mercer and Hughes and those guys, but nobody talked about their defense and their great goaltending. And if you look at the results, like you were talking about there for them, it's kind of faded away a little bit here. Giving up 5 goals there to the Islanders, 5 goals to Buffalo, 4 goals back-to-back in both games they played in Florida against the Lightning and the Panthers. This is a team that's not really intimidating anymore defensively, I find, and I feel like that's a really big issue for them because if there's, superstars and their high-powered offense isn't playing well for a night, I don't know anymore if they can actually win low-scoring games. And that's going to really hurt them. This could be a matchup in the playoffs, right? And I think the Rangers are the right side here. I think this is a dog that I want to look at. Sometimes you look at teams that are not playing their best and you kind of want to find reasons for them to get out of their slump. And maybe it could be the Devils spot for them tonight, but I like the way the Rangers are playing hockey right now. It seems to me that I know it was against Columbus and I know they took down, Florida and some other teams that maybe weren't even playing their best. Hey, they beat Pittsburgh 6-0, and Pittsburgh's been the most inconsistent team, it seems like, in the East. But when I look at this Rangers team, think about how many superstars they have. They needed time since Patrick Kane joined the team. The chemistry is really building with them. Give me the Rangers at a good plus price. I'll take the Rangers. Would be nice to get a real good price on that one, but I'll take the plus 115, Brian, and we'll hope to catch a ticket here in that one. Moving on to Nashville and Pittsburgh. I'm curious about your thoughts on this one, Brian, because Nashville, of all teams, they are the team off the win against the Boston Bruins, man. Plus 170 tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh minus 200, total at 6.5. We've been talking about this all the time, but certain games mean something as far as the standings. This game definitely, Pittsburgh, every game means something to them at this point. But Nashville, how do you feel about them after that big win they had against the Bees?
Yeah, they get beat by a combined 10-4 the previous 2 games against Seattle and Toronto, and then they beat Boston. Beating Boston is an accomplishment, but Boston doesn't need to win. They are cruising to the playoffs in the number 1 seed, but they're trying to set the all-time record in Boston, and they want to win every night. In fact, the other day they played, and I believe they rested after they had clinched first. I believe it was the number one seed or something, and they'd sat three key players of their team, and they stuck him out and won. That's the kind of teams I like. I've always looked at that in the NBA. When teams can win without their star players in the lineup, those are teams that I want to bet on. And Boston did that. So coming off of that Boston victory, it's huge for this Nashville team. And to be totally honest with you, I'm not a big Nashville fan, but how can you seriously want to lay $2 with the Pittsburgh Penguins at this point? I don't. They've had to win for the last 3 weeks, and they're playing like 500 ball. They're not living up to the point that they want the playoffs. It's like they're grinding. Winnipeg's been somewhat in a similar area. We saw Winnipeg lose 3-0 to San Jose just a couple days ago. So you've got these teams just trying to outlast the season, trying to get to the finish line. They're on their last legs. I'm not laying $2 with that with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I don't blame you. It's like one of those things where down the stretch, this game means something to Pittsburgh. It's an exciting game for them. They're playing at home, but I think down the stretch, one lesson I've learned handicapping hockey is must win does not mean will win. And if there's a team that will spoil everybody, it's Nashville. If there's a team that will come in and surprise people at the end of the year, I think it's this Nashville team. But Brian, you know what I think, though? I think Nashville gains confidence after that win. They feel good. And Boston is a really good defensive team. You look at the numbers that the Boston Bruins had defensively and the numbers that Allmark has and Swayman. It's really tough to beat a team like that. But I'll tell you, I look at those numbers from Nashville in that game. I did watch a portion of that game. They created more chances than the scoreboard might tell you. And I think that really any game that Pittsburgh's involved in right now has the chance to be a track meet. Their goaltenders are not going to get better overnight, over a 1 week span. I truly believe, I hate to say this, but if you're on the bench, if you're Sidney Crosby, the captain of that team, you go into every one of those games thinking we probably have to score 4 goals to win this game tonight. Do you agree with that? I mean, they're giving up at least 3 or 4 in most of their games lately. I'll take the over 6.5. I know Nashville isn't a team that lights the lamp a bunch of times every single night, but against this Pittsburgh team, they could contribute, and I could be happy with a 5-2, a 4-3. Hell, give me a Nashville win for all I care. Just give me the over here. What do you think about that total play?
Yeah, I agree. I was having dinner with Marco D'Angelo. He's a Pittsburgh fan, being from Pittsburgh, and we talked about them. And he said not being able to go out and get another goalie is really hurt them. They just don't have the goalie play they've had in the past, and he's very concerned about them making the playoffs because of that. And to me, the only way you're going to play Pittsburgh the rest of the season is to go against them or play the over. So I think you're on the right side there.
Well, Marco is a Pittsburgh fan, and I know one guy who's not a Pittsburgh fan, and that is Carmine Bianco. He has a bet for them to miss the playoffs, so I'm sure he's cheering against them as much as he can. And got to be happy if you're him right now with the goaltending performances that he's seen from that team. So we'll keep things moving along here, Brian. We'll go with the Washington Capitals and Tampa Bay Lightning. I mentioned this about the Capitals, and didn't really happen over their past couple of games, but just like I said about Nashville, I kind of have that feeling that Washington wants to be that spoiler team too. I get that feeling that they're going to be that team that says, if I'm not making it, I'm going to mess around with you. And right now, Tampa Bay, the only thing they're really competing for, which is, I think, pretty much over, is home ice advantage in the playoffs in their matchup against the Maple Leafs. But that's not really doable at this point, I don't think. But what do you think about this one here? Tampa minus 210 favorites here, playing at home against the Capitals. What do you have for us?
Yeah, you can look 2 different ways at this game. Tampa, we saw this last year. They started losing a little bit before the playoffs. It wasn't that important to them. And then they still come out and play very well in the playoffs, as they always do. They're a very good team, a lot of veterans on this team. They're probably, for the most part, in cruise control the rest of the season. But I kind of disagree with you about Washington. Washington's a veteran team. They've been to the playoffs many times. Congratulations to Carmine. This was another team that he played not to make the playoffs at plus money, and it worked out very well for him. Washington plays last night, took that game to overtime, and lose in overtime. They haven't been playing well at all lately, and they're in the second of a back-to-back game. And I went back, take a look at their schedule. They're 1-5 in the second of back-to-back games this season. Have not played well. A lot of that is because you've got some veteran players on the team. Your best players are older players, and they just haven't gotten there. So they come into tonight, and I talked about the way they've been playing. They did beat Chicago, but other than that, they've lost to Pittsburgh. They lost to the Islanders yesterday. They lost to Columbus, lose to Minnesota, who everybody's losing to as of late, lose to St. Louis. I mean, they're not playing good hockey right now, and to expect them to go into Tampa in the second of a back-to-back and win, I'm not there, but yet I don't want to lay this type of number with Tampa because we have seen once they get themselves set in where they want to be in the playoffs, they could sit out the rest of the season and just relax a little bit and rest some of their better players for the playoffs. So it's not a game I'm going to be getting involved in tonight.
All right, lots to discuss, and I agree with a lot of the points that you just mentioned there. So I won't take too much time, but like you said, the Capitals' record when they're playing with no rest has not been good. 2-8 their last 10 games, second half of a back-to-back. And, well, Tampa Bay, despite how they've played over the past 2 and 3 weeks combined, I still would say they are not the best team to want to play in the second half of a back-to-back if you have a 2-8 record in that situation. Probably not a good situation for them. And also Tampa Bay, I get it. But Brian, I also feel like they've been coasting for 2 weeks. So maybe they used up their coasting time and they need to start playing hockey again because it feels like they've already been doing that, coasting. And that last game they played, they were really, really motivated. They, shutting down Carolina, winning that 4-0 after a couple really bad wins. I mean, they lost a tight one to Montreal, and the New Jersey one was ugly. And then, of course, the game against Boston, I mean, Boston beats everybody these days, so it's hard to really complain about that one. But you can get right now at some books -120 for Tampa Bay to win in regulation. And in this spot, I know down the stretch, like I said, we could see some overtimes, but I think if Tampa Bay does win this one, they win this one in rather dominant fashion. So I'm comfortable with the regulation here to get the risk of the -210 out of the way. So it's nice to get that price down. And from -210, you can get from anywhere -120 to 125 in regulation if you shop around and check your different books. So I don't like to always buy into those streaks, Brian, but like you said, like this is a Capitals team that's not good right now when they're not playing with any rest. And, hats off to Carmine for that wager, because growing up for me, it was always the Ovechkin and Crosby battle. I mean, those two teams were unbelievable with the playoff format. We always saw them meeting usually in the second round. So it's kind of cool to see the NHL almost come full swing, and some new teams now are in that mix. And I guess the older guys, I guess we can call Crosby and Ovechkin old, they're out of the picture. I mean, they're on the outside looking in, which I think would be crazy to see. If you look at this Penguins team, it's pretty much since Crosby entered the league, it hasn't happened too many times, Brian, that he missed the playoffs at all. Same thing goes for Alexander Ovechkin.
Yep, I agree.
It's crazy to see, but the NHL is definitely changing. That's for sure. And I like it. I like the way and we saw it in the NBA. Shout out to the Sacramento Kings. I love seeing teams do well that haven't really been doing well for that long. It's good to see, and it makes the league fun. Let's talk about the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers here. A game that features two teams that are really exciting to watch right now. The LA Kings are definitely, I think, a team that I've been, hyping up and saying that I really believe in. But the Edmonton Oilers here, they're favorites, -160. I was doing a show on Tuesday, and somebody asked me, Brian, they said, Andrew, is this the day? Is this the time to get in on futures if I like Edmonton? And it was before their game against the Golden Knights. And I said, I think it is. They're playing really well right now, and they go ahead and have that performance they did. So what's funny, Brian, is their defense isn't really much better, But if you score 6 goals a game, how good does your defense need to be?
Yeah, they just played Vegas, and there's a lot of talk in town that the Vegas doesn't match up with Edmonton very well. They've only won 1 out of the 4 games this year, and that one was the game the other day in overtime. Um, we're a confident area here in Las Vegas, and to be totally honest with you, a lot of people are scared of Edmonton, and for good reason, because they have so much speed and so much scoring ability. The Knights are more of a defensive team. Eichel could create his own shot, but without Stone out there, unless he comes back for the playoffs, Edmonton probably beats Vegas. I hate to say, but I love this matchup here tonight. Los Angeles against Edmonton. LA had that long streak of home games. They were just blowing people out, playing great hockey. But keep in mind, their last 16 games on the road, they're 9-7. So they're not only winning at home, they're winning on the road. Edmonton, they've looked great as of late. I mean, they've looked like, to me, the best team in hockey over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Problem is, if you're betting Edmonton here, you're playing a team at what I consider its peak. Sports betting is very much like the stock market. You want to buy low, sell high. This game opened to 150. It's been moved to 160 now. I like Los Angeles here. It's a team, both teams fighting for second place. I believe whoever wins this game moves into second place, and they're right there behind the Knights. So a lot of money coming in on Edmonton. I'll probably be on Los Angeles for something, but I'm going to wait for this to play out a little bit more today. Hopefully we'll get a better number. Edmonton's playing great, no doubt about it. But you've got to realize the excitement that went into that game the other day against Vegas. It was as if they had won the Stanley Cup. And it was very important. But keep in mind, Jonathan Quick was in goal for Vegas. And Vegas is down to, they've had goalie problems all season long. I had this conversation with my wife, and she's a big Knights fan. And she says, well, we start Brasal, don't we? And I said, well, normally we would. I said, but if we're going to play them in the playoffs and we don't know who's going to be on the team, Jonathan Quick, they played Jonathan Quick so many times over the years. They know Jonathan Quick, and Jonathan Quick has lost a step. He's not able to beat a team like Edmonton, even in the game that they played. Even the announcers were saying he was a step slow in everything they did. Yeah, they blew out Vegas, but most of it was Jonathan Quick. So now they face a team who gave up on Quick, which I could have understood. And I think Los Angeles has got something to prove here, seeing that Edmonton's really been hot. I'll be on LA, but I'm going to wait a little bit, see if we can get a better number.
I love when you say that, Brian. We'll wait a little bit. We'll be patient. This game is not for several hours. We got time until tonight to try and wait to get that better price. I'm with you here on the LA Kings. A few things to take a look at. Number one, a lot of times when you talk about a team's success, sometimes you can look at it and say, well, you know what? This team is having success, but their schedule's been easy. They've been playing, weak teams in their conference or division or whoever. But this is a team, Kings, 4-1 last 5 games against teams with a winning record. One thing I found out as well, though, I always look for bounce back teams as part of my handicapping, and certain teams more than others, I try and look for it. And I was shocked to see Calgary have the performance they did defensively against LA and their last time out. Brian, they are 12-4, the LA Kings, in their last 16 games, following a game where they scored 2 goals or fewer. So I feel like this is a spot here, especially against an Edmonton team that definitely does give up goals on the back-to-back or off a game against a team like Vegas, like you said, where they felt really happy about it. I mean, you said they looked like they won the Stanley Cup. They looked pretty pumped about that victory, and it was a very strong victory for them. So you can play LA, which I do like, but I wanted to throw this out here. The LA Kings team total over 3.5 is plus 125. So people might say to me, well, that's 10 cents less than what the money line is. And I'll tell you what, you guys don't know how many times this year I've cashed tickets on the opponent's team total over against the Oilers, and the Oilers still won the game. So I do think LA can score 4 goals on Edmonton tonight. Does that mean maybe I lean towards the over? I think it probably does. But I'm going to kind of weigh my options, figure out how I want to look at this, see where the price moves throughout the day, like Brian said. But team total, money line here, some prop stuff. I think this is a good spot here for LA. And Brian, I like how we're on the same page with some underdogs today. It's kind of, it's easy to be on the same page on a show with somebody when you're talking about a favorite or, hey, Connor McDavid's probably going to score a goal today. Well, that's pretty easy for us to be on the same page with. But looks like we're on the same page with some underdogs, which is really exciting. So I'm looking forward to the slate tonight. It's a really big one. And I want to ask you, there's MLB starting today. There's so much going on in the world of sports. What do you have going for your clients? Is there anything you wanted to let people know out there that you have going overall for packages?
Yeah, it's a great day for baseball and hockey. Only 2 games in the NBA today. I won't be getting involved in the NBA, but I've been winning in just about everything. 13-1 overall, as we did lose yesterday. But like I said, I did 3 shows yesterday. My best bets on the 3 shows went 3-0, including an underdog. So yeah, it's a situation for me. Still seeing the card. Don't lose faith in me. I've got 4 plays up today. 1 baseball 4% play. Love this game. I've got the reasoning behind it, behind the play, and don't understand one of the line moves in today's cards. So I'm going against the public, and I got no problem doing that early in the season. And also I've got 3 plays up in the NHL, 2 4% plays, a 4% play on an early game. It's a team total, a 4% play on a night game, and I also have a 3% play in hockey. And I also use that as my free play on the site today. And that was Carolina. And for the same viewpoint, I'll look for that as my best bet today. And by the way, this is Throwback Thursday, our first Throwback Thursday. All of the plays today, half price. So if you like $2 Tuesday, if you like, the Monday $9, you're going to love the Throwback Thursday. And today, you've got one of my plays, the Carolina. It's a 3% play. I've got 3 other plays up, all 4 stars. And I don't release too many 4% plays, but I've seen the card really well right now, and I look to continue to win. Once again, a team total and an NHL game and a play in Major League Baseball. I'm going to take a look, my best bet on today's card. We're going to go back to that Carolina game, and I'm going to look at it slightly different than what I gave clients as my free play. And I'm going to take Carolina in the first period. This is a team who has not played well as of late. You're talking about coasting down the end of the season. They can't afford to coast. This is a team in a real battle in the Eastern Conference for playoff positioning. They just came off of a 4-game homestand in which they lost 3 of the games. Now, keep in mind, their last 5 games, they played the Rangers twice, Toronto, Boston, and Tampa Bay. So they've played a real tough schedule, which is why they haven't been winning. But take a look at what they're doing down the stretch. They're at Detroit tonight and finish the season against Montreal, the Islanders, Ottawa, Nashville, Buffalo, Ottawa again, Detroit again, and Florida. So they've got an easy schedule to finish the season. I think this is an important game for them, coming off of losses in 3 or 4 at home. They're playing Detroit tonight. I think they get out to a quick start here. I'm going to lay it with Carolina in the first period today. I think they win the first period, and I think they win the game. A little bit chalky, but after giving out the nice underdog yesterday here on Florida, I'll play a chalk play on it. My best bet for today.
I'd say it's a great spot for them as well. Brian, thanks so much for being here with me. I really enjoyed doing this show today with you. And 13-1 NHL record right now, NHL run. That's unbelievable. Congratulations to you. And like you said, not just doing well on the ice. We got NBA, college sports, and MLB starts today. I'm super excited. I have a 4% team total play up for one of the early games in the MLB. So can't wait for this season to start. I'll be pretty low volume in the MLB, but I will have some props as well. Make sure you follow me at McGinnis Picks. I'll be tweeting out info, prop stuff, pitcher versus batter information, just some useful stuff that I find that I want people to know about. And I've been finding some great websites these days in the MLB. So looking forward to hopefully sharing some of the knowledge I've been learning over the past few weeks and months of my research here for the MLB. Also got a best bet tonight in the NHL. I decided to pass yesterday in the NHL. I will be back in action, though. And don't forget about that BOGO special with Carmine and I. We have a great special going right now. You buy that package, you get both of us for the rest of the season plus playoffs. So you're going to get that playoff package plus the next 2.5, 3 weeks of the regular season built into one package. You can get that at my homepage or at his homepage as well. Guys, Bryan talked about the great spot that it is for Carolina, and I agree with him. But instead of taking Carolina, I'm going with the over in their game tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. This is a Detroit team that has a lot of young guys that I do not think will fold over and kind of just pack it in for the rest of the season. But they're in tough tonight. And you've seen how they've played recently. 7-4 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. But they're giving up goals, give up 4 goals to St. Louis, 5 goals against Florida. And we mentioned that Carolina team off 2 disappointing losses. And, that 4-0 one against Tampa Bay is not one they'll be happy about. I expect goals in this one. I expect goals early. And I do expect a Carolina victory. Give me a high-scoring game here. And anybody going to the game, Carmine will be there. Go see him. He'll buy you a beer. The Detroit office will be there. Tell Carmine we sent you. That's my best bet here over Carolina and Detroit over 6. Bryan has Carolina in the first period. Lots of fun here today, guys. I just want to say, as always, I really appreciate all of you that tune in every day, whether you're listening on podcasts, watching on YouTube, watching on the app. And thank you to Bryan for joining me here on back-to-back days. We love all of our guests, and I truly, truly enjoy doing this show every single day. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
If you love $9 Monday and $2 Tuesday, you're really going to appreciate our new Throwback Thursday when all daily packages are slashed in half. Yes, you heard right. At both wagertalk.com and sportsmemo.com, all Thursday daily packages are now 50% off. This means that a 4% package will be only $12.50. A 5% top-rated play, normally priced at $35, will be only $17.50. And the hottest sales item of the day, get a full day of access from the handicappers of your choice. That's one day of every applicable play they release, including any 5% best bets normally priced at $39 for only $19.50. The best part is you can come back every Thursday to take advantage of this limited time 50% off spring off.